Lewis Hamilton just revealed something about the Ferrari SF-26 that changes everything. And it is not hype. It is data. 3 days in Bahrain. Fastest one-lap time of the entire test. A 1 minute 34.273 that shocked the paddock. But also, a thermal shutdown. Massive clipping on the straights. And a car that overheats when pushed at full hybrid load. Hamilton compared the power drop to a lower category engine. That is not a throwaway comment. That is a warning, because the new data shows the SF-26 might have the highest performance ceiling on the grid, and the narrowest operating window. When the diffuser works, it produces insane grip. When the hybrid deploys cleanly, it launches harder than anyone out of slow corners. But when temperatures rise, the system shuts down. When battery energy runs out, the straight line speed collapses 200 meters before braking. This is not a balanced car. It is a rocket built on a knife edge. Stay with me, because what Hamilton really exposed about Ferrari's new hybrid and aero package could mean the fastest car in Bahrain is also the most fragile. Subscribe now, because this story gets even more insane. Let us break down exactly what Hamilton's comments revealed, because this is where the story becomes fascinating. Day 1 in Bahrain already showed that Ferrari were hiding something radical. The SF-26 arrived with a heavily evolved specification compared to its shakedown. A new V-shaped rear diffuser. Ultra-compact side pods, extremely tight packaging. This was not conservative engineering. This was Ferrari chasing maximum aerodynamic peak performance. And immediately, the car looked explosive. Charles Leclerc was competitive from the first runs. But telemetry exposed something strange. The Ferrari reached its top speed earlier than its rivals, roughly 200 meters before the braking zone. Then it stopped accelerating. That is clipping. The hybrid battery was deploying aggressively, but emptying too soon, so the SF-26 would surge and then fade. Hamilton felt that immediately. On high-speed sections, he reported rear instability. The new aggressive diffuser was stalling when the ride height changed under load. In simple terms, when the car compressed at speed, the airflow separated, downforce dropped, the rear became nervous. That is manageable over 1 lap. It becomes dangerous over a race stint. Now move to day 2. This is where the numbers shocked everyone. Leclerc set a 1 minute 34.273, fastest of the entire test. That lap was not random. It was built on a new aggressive front suspension geometry, an anti-dive push rod system that allowed him to brake extremely late. The car stayed flat, stable, precise. In qualifying trim, the SF-26 looked unstoppable. But Hamilton's long-run data told a different story. He reported that the electric torque delivery was too abrupt, too snappy on corner exit. That aggressive torque damaged rear tires quickly in the heat. So here is the insane contrast. The car has monstrous traction out of slow corners, possibly the best launch phase on the grid. But that same aggressive hybrid delivery overheats tires over distance. Then came day 3. Reality. Hamilton suffered a thermal shutdown of the MG UK system. The aggressive side pod packaging cannot dissipate the hybrid heat under sustained load in 32-degree conditions. That forced Ferrari to install a massive cooling specification engine cover. Large gills, more drag, lower top speed. In one move, Ferrari stabilized temperature and sacrificed straight-line efficiency. This is what Hamilton indirectly revealed. The SF-26 is operating at the absolute limit of thermal tolerance, the absolute limit of hybrid deployment, the absolute limit of aerodynamic balance. When everything is inside its narrow operating window, the car is the fastest on the grid. When one variable drifts outside that window, performance collapses. And that is why his comments matter. Because Hamilton is not reacting emotionally. He is reacting to data trends, battery depletion curves, thermal thresholds, rear tire degradation patterns, ride height sensitivity. Ferrari completed 385 laps, solid mileage, but still fewer than Red Bull and Mercedes. And within that data, the story is clear. Ferrari may have built the most powerful qualifying weapon in Formula One, but sustaining that weapon over a full race distance remains uncertain. And that is what makes this absolutely insane. Because if Ferrari widened the operating window just slightly, if they solve clipping with software updates, if they redesign cooling without losing efficiency, they could dominate qualifying sessions immediately. But if they fail to solve it, the same car that can take pole by 0.3 could struggle with overheating and tire drop-off by lap 15. And that razor-thin balance is exactly what Hamilton just exposed in Bahrain. Now here is where this becomes even more intense, because the difference between Ferrari and Red Bull after Bahrain is not raw speed, is stability. Red Bull look consistent across long runs. Ferrari look explosive but volatile, and Hamilton's feedback highlights exactly why. The SF-26 has what engineers call a peak downforce platform, when the diffuser is perfectly sealed to the track surface, when ride height stays inside the ideal window, when hybrid deployment is synchronized. The car produces immense grip in medium speed corners. It looks planted, sharp, almost untouchable over one lap. But that window is narrow, too narrow. If the rear ride height changes slightly under fuel load, the aggressive diffuser can stall. When it stalls, downforce drops suddenly. That is the instability Hamilton reported in high-speed sections. Now, add hybrid behavior into that equation. Ferrari's electrical system delivers extremely aggressive torque at low speed. That gives them incredible traction out of slow corners. The first 100 meters after corner exit may be the best on the grid, but the deployment curve is front-loaded. Energy is spent early, which explains the clipping 200 meters before braking zones. So the Ferrari accelerates harder than anyone at first, then runs out of battery while rivals keep pushing. That creates a strange lap profile, fast in sectors with traction, vulnerable at the end of long straights. Now combine that with tire behavior. Hamilton reported that the snappy torque delivery overheats rear tires in hot conditions. Over one lap, you can tolerate that. Over 20 laps, degradation rises sharply, and Bahrain exposed that sensitivity. Then came the thermal shutdown on day 3. That was not a random glitch. It confirmed that the aggressive side pod packaging is operating at the edge of cooling capacity. Ferrari had to install a high cooling engine cover with large gills. That solved overheating, but increased drag and reduced top speed. So here is the insane balance Ferrari are trying to manage. Close the bodywork, gain straight line speed, risk thermal overload, open the bodywork, stabilize temperatures, lose efficiency. That is not a comfortable trade-off. And this is where Hamilton's experience becomes crucial. He understands long championship campaigns. He knows that qualifying pace alone does not win titles. Consistency does. Operational control does. Ferrari completed 385 laps. Respectable, yes. But within that mileage, the pattern is clear. The SF-26 is a high-ceiling car, possibly the highest one-lap ceiling on the grid. But its operating window is razor-thin. And championship fights punish narrow windows, because Bahrain is only one track. What happens in hotter climates? What happens in traffic where airflow is dirtier? What happens when safety cars bunch the field and temperature management becomes chaotic? If the car overheats in clean air at 32 degrees, traffic could make it worse. And that is the deeper layer Hamilton just revealed. Ferrari have built a machine that can terrify the grid on Saturday. But unless they widen that thermal and energy window quickly, Sunday could become a management exercise instead of a victory march. So the insane part is not that Ferrari are fast, is that they are balancing on a knife edge between dominance and self-destruction. And the next block will reveal why the internal dynamic between Hamilton and Leclerc could either solve this problem or make it even more complicated. Now we arrive at the human element, because the SF-26 is not just a technical project. It is a partnership. Lewis Hamilton, Charles Leclerc, two completely different driving philosophies. And Bahrain revealed something subtle but critical. The car currently suits Leclerc more naturally. Leclerc thrives with a sharp front end, a car that rotates aggressively into the apex, a rear that moves slightly on entry. He is comfortable dancing on instability, and the new anti-dive front suspension allowed him to brake later than anyone. That is how he produced the fastest lap of the test. He can extract peak performance from a narrow window. Hamilton is different. He prefers a planted rear, progressive torque delivery, consistency over aggression. His feedback in Bahrain was not about ultimate pace. It was about sustainability. He highlighted the snappy, hybrid delivery damaging rear tires. He emphasized instability when the diffuser stalled at high speed. He questioned the clipping behavior at the end of straights. That is not negativity. That is championship thinking. Now imagine Ferrari's engineers inside Maranello. One driver proving the car can take pole position. Another warning that the same setup may not survive a full race distance. Do you chase peak, or do you widen the window? Because widening the window usually means sacrificing some peak performance, softening torque delivery through new software maps, adjusting diffuser sensitivity with floor edge reinforcements, opening cooling pathways without destroying aerodynamic balance. Ferrari are already preparing urgent updates. A new side pod specification for improved internal airflow, revised battery management to smooth deployment. But every solution involves compromise. Reduce torque aggressiveness, lose some launch advantage. Increase cooling, lose straight line efficiency. Reinforce the floor, possibly reduce aerodynamic flexibility that may already be under FIA scrutiny. And that last detail matters. There are whispers that the front wing and floor flexibility are being monitored closely. If a technical directive arrives before race 1, Ferrari could lose part of the delicate balance they found in Bahrain. So this is not just a development challenge, it is a timing challenge. Hamilton's experience tells him that early season stability defines championships. Leclerc's instinct tells him that pure speed wins opportunities. And Ferrari must find the intersection between those two philosophies. Because the data from Bahrain says something extraordinary. The SF-26 has the raw pace to take pole position. It has monstrous traction out of slow corners. It has immense peak downforce when the diffuser seals correctly. But it overheats under sustained hybrid load. It clips aggressively at the end of long straights. Is sensitive to ride height and wind. In other words, it is brilliant and fragile at the same time. And this is the real revelation. Hamilton did not just criticize the car. He exposed its personality. The SF-26 is not a safe contender. It is an extreme machine that demands perfection in temperature, energy, and balance. If Ferrari widened the operating window even slightly, they could turn this glass cannon into a championship weapon. If they fail, they risk watching poles turn into podium losses because of overheating and degradation. And that is why the data from Bahrain is absolutely insane. Because Ferrari are not lacking speed. They are balancing between domination and collapse. And the season will be decided by which side of that knife edge they land on.